welcome back to the Happy Dreamers podcast. It's Livy here speaking. I hope you guys don't mind, but today's gonna be kind of like a solo shush. And this may or may not be my first YouTube video, so make sure to follow me on YouTube because your girl's trying to be in her YouTube era. So this episode, I filmed this episode twice, honestly, but this episode I'm gonna talk about books and books that I've read. As some of you guys know, books have tremendously helped me out this year. Not even honestly this year, but the past couple years. I read, I think, about 3 books before my brother passed, and then afterwards is when I really picked up reading more and more. And I'm so glad I did because I had such a love for reading when I was younger, and I would like to say the school education kind of took that away from me, and now it's slowly finding its way back to me. So I'm going to start off with the last book that I read because I can't get over this book. So for the people that are listening and not watching the YouTube video, because on the video I'm holding up what the book looks like, it's called The 7-Year Slip, and it's a very yellow, like a golden yellow, I would say, like orangey cover, and it's very cute, very simple. I put this book on my TBR. So for the people that don't know what TBR means, is to be read. So I put this on my TBR list after I saw so many people posting about it on Instagram, on TikTok, like all over the place. So I was like, you know what? After I finish reading the series that I was reading, and I'm going to talk about that later, I'm going to read this book because I ended up buying this book because it was on sale at Target. And as soon as I saw this book, I was like, you know what? You're coming home with me. Yeah, I bought the book and I just finished a couple days ago, and I still cannot get over this book at all. I suck at giving synopsis and reviews because I go on and on. Because if you guys couldn't tell, I'm pretty much a yapper type of person. But this book is really good. It threw me off a little bit because it's about a magical apartment. And I was like, magical apartment? What the fuck am I reading? But it ties in with everything so well. And what I didn't know is that the main character loses her aunt to suicide. And I want to read really quickly. I'm trying to find the page, so bear with me. So I finally found the page that I was looking for. And again, like Clementine is talking about the time that her mom called her about her aunt. And it took me back to when I found out about my brother. So this little thing really hit home for me. The author wrote, "The thing no one tells you, the thing that you have to find out on your own through first-hand experience is that there is never an easy way to talk about suicide." And in turn, that monster didn't let her see all the things that she would miss. So that is, she's talking about like her aunt. And after that, it mentions like the birthdays, all the anniversaries that her aunt is going to miss now. And then in the end, what I highlighted is that there is no easy way to talk about suicide. Sometimes the people you love don't leave you with goodbyes, they just leave you. And after I read that, I was like, oh my God. Yeah. You know, I didn't really have anything else to add. It just really resonated with me. And I took a picture and I sent it to my mom. And she was like, wow. And I recommended that my mom read this book because, ugh, it's so good. And then there's also one more quote I want to read you guys because it was so fucking good. It made me squeal when I was reading it. Not like physically, but like internally, I was squealing. Before I find this quote that I'm looking for, I highly recommend you guys read this book if you're looking for a book to read because I love this book so much. It made me cry. Like, I could not recommend a better book for you guys to check out than The 7-Year Slip. So good. It's not a lot of pages, only like 300-ish pages. So good. So I found the quote that I was looking for, and I don't remember if this is like the first kiss between the main two characters, the like love interest, or if it's I don't know. I don't know. So anyway, what I highlighted is he tells her, "You kiss like you dance," and she acts terribly. And he goes, like someone waiting to be asked, "You can just dance, Lemon. Just take the lead." And she asks him, "And you'll follow?" And he says, "To the moon and back." And I put my little 2 cents in there, and I was like, "That's hot." So anyway, highly, 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 highly recommend reading The 7 Year Slip if you're looking for a book to get into. She's that girl for you, okay? So before I read that book, girlies, I'm gonna tell you. I read a series. Now, recently been a series girly, which I've never really been one before, but now I am. I'm a changed girl now. I prefer reading series just because it helps me finish my reading goals. And if you don't know, on Goodreads, I have my reading goal is 25 books. And if you don't know what Goodreads is, it's a website slash like app where you can keep track of all the books that you read. You can post what you highlighted in the book. You can post reactions. You can post a review. You can also, every year, they do a challenge. And that's basically like your reading goal for the year. So 2024 reading challenge. That's what it's titled for this year. So again, my reading goal is 25 and right now I'm at 10 out of 25 books. So your girl is doing a damn thing. So anyway, back to the series. So this is a book that I've seen again like all over TikTok, all over Instagram. I knew this author from another series that I know I want to read and I plan on reading maybe this year, honestly. But it's the Caravel series. Again, I'm holding up the book for the people that are just listening. I knew what the concept was because I've seen videos of when people post a TikTok about a book, but they just put like the aesthetic of it. And based off the aesthetic, I was like, you know what? That book right there, I'm going to read her. I'm going to read her and I'm going to find out what she is all about. And this book, y'all, this book really took me by surprise because one, Caravel is a game. It's a game the main character plays, but the thing about the game is that nothing is real. So they tell you right before you get into, like, right before you, when you're at the gate, the woman tells you, like, don't believe everything you see, don't believe everything you hear, don't get too invested. It's just a game. So the main character goes in there with a guy who was like slightly hooking up with like her sister. And she's in the game looking for her sister because her sister went ahead of her. I'm trying to find like the best way to talk about this book because I vaguely remember now because it was a little bit ago that I read this. But a lot of things happen. And your girl Scarlett, who's the main character of this book, goes through a lot, like a lot. And the funny thing about this book, again, like it's a game. So the main character is going through these experiences and she doesn't know if this is real or not, if this is the the game, if it's part of the script, like she doesn't know nothing. So when I was reading this book, I honestly felt exactly the same. I was like, I don't know if this is real. Did that just happen to her? Is this part of the game? Is he serious? Did he mean that? So it takes you through such an emotional, psychological roller coaster. But the ending, y'all, the fucking ending had me. It fucking had me. And I was like, you know what? The next book, I'm ready for it. So this book is only, I want to say, like 410 ish pages. It's not that hefty of a book, which is good. The second book, I'm trying to get you guys pages so you guys know how many pages is in this book. This book is 440. This is the second book in the series called Legendary. This book, again, a freaking roller coaster. This whole series was such a roller coaster because I'm like, I don't know what's real, what's not real. I don't know who to root for. I don't know who I'm shipping. I don't know where this is gonna go. You just don't know. And then the plot twist every fucking chapter or like every couple chapters. Oh my god. I love a book that keeps me on my toes. This series honestly did that for me. But I do want to say this. I gave this whole series a 5 out of 5. I don't care what the book is about. I'm going to give it a 5 out of 5 if I enjoyed the book thoroughly. So, this book, the main character isn't Scarlet, it's her younger sister, Donatella. And it took me a while to get used to Donatella being the main character because I missed Scarlet so much just because they are so different. But I did end up liking it. And I did end up liking Donatella. And I was so glad when they got to the parts of Scarlet because I want to find out what was happening with my girl. Again, highly, highly recommend the series because each book it just gets better and better and the stakes just get higher and higher. And then of course you want to follow up with your peoples, with the crew and find out what happens to them. So last but not least, within this series, we have the last book called Finale. And this book is about 485 ish pages. This book, you guys, I don't even know how to talk about this book. I really don't know how to talk about this book because the roller coaster that this book took me through, the gasping, the oh my god, the tearing up that happened when I was reading this book, too much. Too much. I think this is the last game that the characters play. And this one takes you kind of back and forth between Scarlet and Donatella. I'm highly recommending every book I'm talking about in this podcast, in this episode, in this video. So, yeah, highly recommend reading the Caravel series. It's a 3-book series. I think there's also one more that's a telenovela one or novella one. Yeah, I highly recommend. Stephanie Garber is the author of this series. Girl, I plan on reading every book she ever wrote because it's so good. So before I read the Caravel series, I read a book that my friend Natalie got me. And if you guys don't know, she got me the Wizard of Oz book. And it was around like 200 pages. And it was the first physical book that I read in a very, very long time. Because majority of the books that I've been reading so far have been on my Kindle. And I read so much faster on my Kindle because it's just digital and I can just read it in bed. And I can read it like on the go. Like I don't have to worry about anything. I can just read when I want to. And this one, I had to really make sure I set time to read it. I couldn't read it in bed. And I would always try to finish before a new chapter started. So I would read like chapter by chapter. But that book was so, so good. There were slight changes from the movie, which I thought was very interesting. So, yeah, that was a cute little thing. I also have Alice Through the Looking Glass book, and it's the same as The Wizard of Oz, where there's like illustrations in it, and the pages are like gold filled. I definitely need to add Alice Through the Looking Glass on my TBR. I haven't yet, because there's so many other books that I want to read right now. I'm gonna end it kind of with this. It's gonna be a short-ish podcast episode, whatever you want to call it. The book that I started reading off this year is the Red Queen series. Now, I have 4 of the books in front of me. There is one more book that's like a 4.5-ish book. That book is there's a chapter before this events happen, then there's chapters on each character to find out what happened to them after the last book. And I will tell you this, because I'm going to tell you this now. I read the 4.5 book, but I skipped pages because all I cared about were my babies. all I cared about were my babies, which were Mayor and Cal. I just cared about those two. I don't care about anybody else but my babies. I'm kind of like that way with a lot of characters because I just want to know if they end up together or not. So let me grab the Red Queen. I'm going to say the same thing I've been saying so far. I saw this book all over and I was like, you know what? This cover's somewhat interesting. Like it's literally a crown and like blood dripping down. I was like, you know what? This book looks interesting. I don't know what it's about at all, but I've seen some good reviews. I'm gonna read it. I'm gonna put it on my TBR and I'm gonna read it. So I also went to Goodreads before I read this book, and for some reason, there's like negative reviews about this book. I don't know why. Some of them were like years ago. That didn't deter me from reading this book at all. This book is about like 338 pages, and it's about two groups of people. There's the Reds, which are very poor people, and then there's the Silvers, which are very rich people that have powers. Basically, Mayor is a red person, and there's like this war going on. And in order for you not to go to the war, you have to be working at a job. So her friend, like his boss just died, so he's very scared of going off to the war. Mare's very scared of like losing her friend to the war because she lost two of her brothers to the war. And she's trying to find a way for her to either get a job or like for him to get a job. And she was able to get a job through this guy that she found. And she goes to this like what you want to call it, like the silver area with the castle and like all the little shops and everything, to find out she's working at the castle. So she's like, who the fuck was this guy that gave me this job working in a castle for the king and the queen? So she's like one of the maids, and she goes to watch, I forgot what they called it, but it was basically where there's two princes. There's Cal, and Maven's the youngest one, Cal's the oldest one. So he's about to be married, right? So instead of like him choosing whoever he wants, they do this kind of show off. So each princess from each little area goes into this like dome type thing, and the king and the queen are watching, the two princes are watching, everybody's watching this happen. And the princess will go in this area and show off her powers. So it was like different like little towns or cities or whatever you want to call it that were showing off their powers. Mayor's watching all of this happen, and I forgot what. So something happened where like she ended up falling, and somehow she was able to get out of that situation unscathed. You guys, it turned out she had powers. She had fucking powers. But everybody's looking at her like, who is this chick? And then she's looking at herself, looking at her hands. She's like, how did I just do that? I'm red. I'm not supposed to have powers. Red people, that like group isn't supposed to have powers at all. So she's like very confused about everything. And then they shut everything down. The queen and the king like grab her and start questioning her. And she's like, I don't know. So they create this whole story where they say that the king and the queen took her in because she was the daughter of one of the massive soldiers that just passed. So now she's presenting herself as a silver, as a royal silver. So she's taking these courses on like how to properly talk and like the history of the silvers and like how to properly eat. And then she's also learning how to properly control her powers, and all of this is going on. But what I didn't even tell you, oh, what I didn't even tell you guys is that the person that gave her the job was the prince that was about to be betrothed, Cal. Ugh. But then she also, so since they created this whole story about her being a now silver royal, they betrothed her Am I saying that right? I don't know. Who cares? They betrothed her to Maven, who's the youngest prince. So obviously, like, she's very unhappy about it. He's very unhappy about it. But they create like such a cute little like friendship. And during this time, like, she's not really talking to Cal at all. A little bit. There's so much I can talk about, but I don't want to talk about it. Yeah, you guys gotta read this book, The Red Queen. This book, I don't know. I'm a sucker for plot twists and like surprises, because the way that I gasp, the way that Mare, the main character, gets portrayed, I did not see it coming from a fucking mile away. I was so shocked at what happens in this book. I'm still recovering from it months later. The second book is called Glass Swords. And again, it's kind of the same book cover where it's like a light bluish, silver, grayish color. And there's a crown and there's slight blood, like not too much blood, that is on here now. This one, this whole series, you guys, I shit you not, it takes you over such a roller coaster, because in this book, Maven is king now, and Mare and Cal are like fugitives. So they're on the run. She's slowly now learning to like control her powers and work with her powers, and she's getting very strong. And then I forgot. Oh my god! I wish I remembered what happened in this one. Was it this one that made me cry? No, the Red Queen. You guys, I shit you not. I think I have a video somewhere of me crying or like gasping really hard while I was reading the Red Queen. So good. The King's Gauge is the third one. I'm kind of going all over the place. Cover's kind of the same, where it's crowns. It's less blood than the second one. This one, I'm gonna just give like a quick little recap from what I remember. This one, again, Maven is king, but nobody trusts him. And he doesn't even trust himself because his mom was controlling him and controlling his thoughts. But Mare got herself caught because it was between her and Cal. And she was like, you know what? Take me, because you're the one that you want me. You don't want him. Take me instead. She gets locked up in the castle, which is so crazy because like a couple weeks ago or a couple months ago, she was living in the castle as a princess, and now she's held captive, and they put her in Silent Stone. So Silent Stone, for people that have powers, it really dilutes the power and makes you feel really weak. So she's in this Silent Stone jail for months. She can bear like her skin, like she's getting very like hollow in the face. She's getting very weak, and then whenever Maven takes her out, he's taking her out in like a collar and like a leash. And a lot of people can't trust Mare because she went from being a princess, like a royal, to then her being very like manipulated with the revolution and saying like two different things. And then here she is being hostage saying something else. So everybody's like, we can't trust you, whatever. But the thing that gets me about this book, because obviously, spoiler, I'm gonna just tell you. Obviously, like, she had a thing with Maven in the first book, and she got very, very much betrayed by Maven, but she still sees him as that good person that she first saw. So she's like, okay, I have to try to save him. Like, he's still in there. I know he is. And Cal is very much betrayed again by his brother, and he's like, I know who he is. This isn't him. I have to try to protect him. I have to try to save him. Yada, yada, yada. But Mare and Cal have their own separate thing, which is really cute. But also, like, it's very, like, a struggle with both of them. But you can still see in the books, like, when you're reading it, Maven still very much cares about Mare. And he, at one point, thought they would end up together. But he ruined his chances. And she tells him that we could have had something good, but you ruined it. by doing all of this when you didn't have to be. Yeah, it was just, you guys, I cannot. I can't get over this book series. I don't know why. I said this after the first book. I don't know why I got so many negative reviews. Like, again, if you made me feel something when I was reading this book, I'm gonna give you 5 stars. I don't care. I'm gonna give you 5 stars. I'm not gonna be that bitch to read a book and give you like 2 stars, 3 stars, whatever. Because if I did not like the book, I'm gonna just finish it. I'm not gonna read the book. I'm not gonna review the book. I'm not gonna do that. So the last book in the series is called War Storm. This one is pretty hefty. Out of the 4 books, this one, if I'm, yeah, okay. So this book, I don't know how many pages is in this book, but this book kind of lost me, if I'm honest, because the first 3 books are in Mare's perspective, Mare's point of view on like how things went. This book, Warstorm, is multiple POVs. So like one chapter to be Mare, one chapter to be Cal, one chapter to be like so and so. And I skip pages, you guys. I skip chapters because I only care about Mare and Cal and what's going on with them, because in this book they're not really talking at all, because Cal ends up finding like his grandmother and they're trying to dethrone Maven so Cal can become king because that's his birthright. But Mare's like, I don't want you to be king. I want you to stay with me and we can just be together. But he's like, no, this is what I was raised for. This is my duty. You know how it is. And there's one point, I think, in this book where she asks him to choose between his birthright or her. And he chooses his birthright, but he also says, come with me. Like, come, like, let's rule the kingdom together. And she's like, yeah, no, that's not what I want. That's not what I want at all. And it's very, very like heart wrenching because you know these characters love each other. You know these characters will protect each other, which they do throughout the whole time all these events are happening. There was so much loss, so much devastation, so many people died in the revolution for this cause, for Mare, what she's protecting and what she's like advocating for. Oh, you guys, I can't get over this series. I really, really can't. This is a 4 book series, and I'm pretty sure I read this book series pretty quick. I honestly, uh, I'm starting to learn I'm a series girly. I really am. Because series, it keeps me going. And again, it really helps knock out numbers on my Goodreads also. So that's some of the books I've read so far this year. I did have another book I wanted to talk about, but I read that book last year, so I'm not going to talk about it right now. But what I have coming up that I plan on reading right now, I'm reading War Hour, and it's the first book in the series. I actually followed the author before she published, and now her book is out in the world and like on Barnes and Noble and everything, which is insane. So my game plan is to read like, because I read the series standalone and then series. So with this one, I plan on reading like I want to say 2 to 3 series. So 7 Year Slip is a standalone, which means there's nothing following up after that. It's just one book and done. I'm reading War Hour. This is a series. I think she's working on her second book now. So I'm going to read this. And then I also have a couple other books that I want to read. I also really want to read Divine Rivals. I've heard that's really good. What I also have set up next is I have a few things set up, honestly, because I'm all over the place. There's so many books I want to read. I have Of Stars and Tides. I forgot what this is about. I think it's about like astrological signs being like people. I don't know. I also found this person on my TikTok, I think before they published. Possibly this appears to be a series. Yeah, she published it on July 8th of last year. I don't know how many books is in this series. Oh, Greek mythology. This is what this book is about. And she posted like a TikTok of like kind of what the book is about. And as soon as I saw it, I was like, you know what? That book I want to read. From the book description, I'm going to tell you what it says for the first sentence. Geminis have been outlawed for a century until her. If you guys don't know, I'm a Gemini. My birthday's coming up. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. I have those two books I plan on reading. War Hour, I think, is 300-ish pages. I'm trying to keep track of how many pages I've read so far, but Goodreads does that too, I think. It keeps track of all the books, like it calculates all the books for you. But that's pretty much it. That's all I have for today's episode, today's video. Before I end this video, I do want to say, if you guys don't know, I have an Etsy where I sell products, and I have 3-ish collections out right now. I have the Let's Heal Together collection, I have a little sticky note collection, and then I have your Mental Health Matters collection, which I released, I want to say like maybe 2-ish months ago, maybe 3-ish months ago now. It doesn't feel like it's been that long. And I'm slowly rolling out the second collection. But I want to say this because this is what I'm revving up to. I've talked about in the last couple podcast episodes that I plan on donating a portion of my sales to charity. And I think I mentioned in one of the episodes that I plan on donating the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. And that's an organization that was very near and dear to my brother. And he posted it on his Facebook 2 years prior to him passing. And it just seems like the perfect organization to donate first. I'm planning on donating money to the organization on his birthday, which would have been, I think, his 37th birthday, 38th birthday, in his name, in his honor. I plan on having a little sale for my birthday. So my birthday is June 5th. So I plan on doing like a cute little thing for that. And then I may or may not be having another sale in the beginning of July. So if you want to buy something for yourself or you want to buy something for your friend, please do, because again, portion of sales will be going to the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, and I will be donating on my brother's birthday in July. It's for a really good cause. Make sure to tell your friends and family. And yeah, please support the cause and support Happy Dreamers and keep this thing going, you know? But besides that, I just wanted to say thanks to everyone who has followed Happy Dreamers on TikTok, on Instagram, has liked us on Etsy. For anyone that has bought something so far, has left a review. For anyone that has listened to this podcast and left a review. For anyone who's watched this video and liked it and left a comment and subscribed and everything. Thank you so much, because again, like, I started this business after I lost my brother to suicide. This is something that's very near and dear to my heart. This is my business that is dedicated to him, to honor him. And I also see it as his business. Like, it's not just my business, it's his business. This is for him. This is for anyone that is struggling with mental health. This is to protect my brother's honor, to keep doing what he wanted to do, which is talk more about mental health and bring more awareness to mental health and stop the stigma about mental health. Yeah, just thank you. I can't thank you guys enough for everything, honestly. And I will see you on the next episode, next podcast, next YouTube video. I don't know. Make sure to subscribe, like, comment, leave a review. Make sure to follow Happy Dreamers on Etsy. Make sure to follow Happy Dreamers on Instagram so you can see the next products or next thing coming up. Bye.